Good evening and welcome to Mr. Wilson Live. It's another Sunday evening, and a lot of persons would have taken the time off to learn some biology. I want to welcome you from wherever you are from, be it the Caribbean or some other region, Jamaica. Welcome to the show. If you're new, I also want to extend that Mr. Wilson welcome to the show. And of course, I want to remind us to, of course, invite those persons who are not yet here to be with us. Be reminded to like, share, and of course, subscribe and give the channel some love as much as you can. We have many videos on the channel from which I'm sure there's one there for you. So you can just hit that blue icon that says CSEC Biology TCP, and that will take you to the back end of the channel. And you could choose from any of our playlists, or of course, choose from any video. I got a message, I think, sometime over the weekend, where somebody was asking us to do the paper 3. That's the alternative paper for biology. To be honest with you, I didn't even think about that, and I'm very happy that somebody sent that request. We actually looked over the 2019 paper. It's a nice paper. I think we're going to make that one available this year. We're working the 2019. Well, I actually worked the 2019 already. But I want to say to those persons who are doing biology as private, or even if you're just doing biology at school, be reminded that we have a playlist with the labs that are supposed to be done for CXC, or the topics. Now, there are 8 labs in the back of the syllabus, and we're asked to cover those 8 labs and some more. So we would have covered all those 8 labs plus some more. So for persons who are saying that I'm going to be doing the private paper, it's very important for you to check out our playlist. That I think the playlist is called Biology Experiment, to make sure that you are in tip-top shape for the exam. There's also that which we refer to as the skills. The SBA skills are the biology skills. Those are playlists that you want to look at, how you're supposed to write your lab, or you're supposed to write your aim, or that type of a thing. You want to ensure that you have those all covered before you go to that alternative paper, the 032 paper. So please be reminded, check out those facts. All right, good evening again. Just let me see the persons who are here, and then we're going to hop right into the lesson. So there are some persons who were early today, and that includes Cheryl, Treasure, Powell, Anderson, Brett Wade, Jawawan, Barnett, Miller. Barnett is always here early. Miller, De Sousa is also here. Did I say Martin before? And Powell? Okay, good evening, and of course, welcome to the show again. We're going to be looking this evening, we're going to be taking that inheritance thing a little further, a little more advanced, and it might get a little tricky for some persons. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be just going over very quickly that which we have done, because we're going to be looking at this evening inheritance of recessiveness, and we're going to be looking at sex-linked inheritance. And that's a little stretch to what we have done. So I'm going to be starting first. Very quickly, I'm going to be going through this. I'm going to be going through the Punnett Square very quickly. And as we go through the course, I'm going to look at the other genetic diagram. But very quickly, I'm going to be looking at the Punnett Square. There is a question. Holy moly. There is a question on that 2019 032 paper, the alternative to SBA paper. There's a genetic question on it that I want you to do. And I'm going to be starting the class off with that. Just let me go on over. What's that? One. All right, sorry about that, guys. All right, so we're going to be looking at that question from the 2019 032 paper. Genetic question, and being that you did my genetic lesson last time around, I'm sure that you should be able to manage this paper, because I think it is straightforward. You just need to apply that which you learned, and everything will be fine. I'm waiting on the question to come up, but before we get to the question, I need to get you to the place. Remember, the first thing I want you to do this evening is to draw the Punnett Square. So if you want to walk me through it, you tell me in the chat there what I need to do to draw the Punnett Square. Very quickly, tell me what to do. Type in the chat what I should do. I want to construct a Punnett Square. I don't know what's a Punnett Square, but I know that I can use a Punnett Square to solve these genetic questions. So just walk me through very quickly what I need to do. Come on, guys. Tell me in the chat there what I need to do. We're going to be doing a lot this evening. What do I need to do? Oh, wow, I don't know how to draw a Punnett square. I taught you last time around because I know I would have forgotten. So because of that, I gave you what I knew, and I'm expecting you now to remind me so I can draw the Punnett square. But nobody is saying anything. Oh, sir, first we would draw a square. All right, beautiful. I'm going to draw a square. That sounds good. That's a good start. Yes. Then what do I do next? What do I do next? Yes, I have my square or something looking like a square. Yes, what do I do next? Oh, then you draw two horizontal line and two vertical line. Should I draw these inside of the square or outside of the square? I don't know. I'm very sorry. I am one of the slow learners. Should I draw these line on the outside, Powell, or the inside? I really don't know. I'm very sorry. Oh, draw two horizontal line. Should they be beside each other, or should I space them out to have somewhat even space inside of the square? They should be inside. Should they be close, or I want to try and get even space inside the square? I want to make sure I'm getting it right, so I really don't want to get anything wrong. So just tell me very quickly. I don't want to draw them beside each other and then I'm wrong. Oh, space evenly. Beautiful. All right, so that sounds as if I'm learning. I'm a quick learner, you know. Anything else that I need to do? Oh, even you want to get them evenly spaced. All right, so this is what I have. I hope I did the right thing. All right, so what else should I do? I don't know. Tell me, what else do I do? What is it I should do? Anything else? What else do I need to do? Anything else? I'm drawing a Punnett square for the persons who are out there. I like to call in Yonderland. I'm drawing a Punnett square, and they're reminding me what I'm supposed to do because I'm a pretty slow learner and I forget things easily. So I taught them that which I knew, and they're pretty much helping me here to remember things that we can start this lesson. Then you draw a diagonal line in one of the small square. Okay, so I'm going to draw it in the middle square. Ah, I'm bright. There I go. See, I draw it in that's a diagonal line. I know I would have gotten this right. Then draw a diagonal line in one of the small square. Whoa, I feel good. Oh, no, but I followed the directive. I drew a diagonal line in one of the square. The first cell? Powell, did you tell me something wrong? Oh, it is in the first square. Oh no! So I'll have to draw it all over again. Let me see if I could get it right this time. So I'm going to draw a square. And then I go like that. And then the lines are so two horizontal lines that should provide some even space in the cell. Then in the first cell, I'm going to draw a diagonal line. Is it better now? Is this what I should do? Is that right? I don't know, guys. Please help me out here. Forgive me if I'm a little slow. That's what I should do? I was told that I got a 0 for the first one. That is wrong. Okay, cool. And then I have to throw away this paper because I got it wrong. And then he said something about male on top or something like that. I don't know. What should happen next? What should I do? Come, guys, you have to talk me through this. I am slow, but I'm sure you're not going to leave me behind. You're going to teach me the right things. Right things, because when you get to that exam, if you can't talk me through it correctly, then you can't draw it either. If you can't teach me, you can't do it. I know. What do I do next? All right. We might be going in a little all over the place now, so let's get it back in order. So having drawn the Punnett square, we want to look at the genetic cross that we are going to be doing. Now, the Punnett square will represent the part of the genetic cross that we refer to as segregation or random fertilization. So before the Punnett square, we would have had the parental phenotype, genotype, and of course, what's the other very important G word that we must have? What's the other important G word that comes after the parental genotype? What's the other G word? Gametes. Please do not forget it. Now, when you're working the multiple choice paper and you're working out the shortened thing, probably you don't need to use the gametes. But of course, when you are doing it to answer the question that I am going to give you now, you make sure you have it. So we're going to be looking very quickly now at just one question I'm going to be giving you. A woman has 99 girls. What are her chances of having a boy the next time she gets pregnant? Write that out and tell me in the chat, please. I wish I could see what you're doing to see you breaking away those chromosomes. I wish I could see. What do we use to represent the male? What's the genotype there for the male? Genotype for the male? Type it in the chat there for me. This is a practical session for those persons who are here. The videos are online for this class. I would have worked all the questions I'm giving now. They are there on my channel. I think they're probably in a playlist called Genetics. You can go on over there and watch those videos. We are doing practical now. Practical. So for the male, the genotype is going to be XY. For the male, the genotype is going to be XY. It's very important that we have that all pat. I hope you understand. I hope we understand clearly, and always remember that the genotype for the male is XY. Now, what's the genotype for the female? This is very, very important. Very important for today's class. Very important. Genotype for the female? All right, XX, XX. Come on, everybody should type in. You really can't stay outside of a car and learn to drive. You have to be inside of the car. So everybody type wrong or right, it is good. All right, beautiful. That's correct. That's correct. All right. Now, usually we use the capital X, that type of thing, but I understand some people might not so be good at the keyboard. That was really, really wonderful just now. All right. So tell me the question I'd asked now. I said to you that a lady has 99, I think boy or girl. I don't remember what I said, boy or girl, whichever one. I think I said girls. What are our chances like the next time she should have a child for that child to be a girl or a boy? Whichever one you want to take it as is fine. Write that out and give me the answer very quickly. And your answer here is very important to the question I'm going to give you next, because you will have to use your knowledge of percentage, ratio, fraction to even start interpreting this question. So I'm going to look for that question while you work your thing out to give me the answer there. Remember, if you don't know how to do it or how to teach me, then you can't do it either. If you can't answer it, then so I'm going through the paper. It was a nice paper though, really nice paper. It's, in a matter of fact, it's the first time I'm looking at a 032 paper. It has 3 questions on it, but if I were in your position, I'd prefer to do the SBA than to do the 032 paper. Because persons who are doing the 032 paper, you might not even know the labs that you're supposed to do. Well, I would have had a couple of them on my channel, or all the labs that are on the 2019 paper, we would have done them online. I'm going on down to genetics. And we have a new series called Biology Kids, and that's for your sibling or the smaller ones, primary school, grade 7, and that is doing pretty well. That's doing pretty well. I'm looking at the 032 paper now, and I made mention of the kids paper because there's a diagram on the paper to label the flower, and that is something that the kids are doing at grade 7. So I made mention of the biology kids, that persons who don't know how to label the flower. If you were supposed to look at our biology kids experiment, or the biology kids sexual reproduction in plant, you would see that diagram there nicely. All right, let me see what does that mean here. I hope this is a question. All right, beautiful. I think I am here now. If I'm not here, I'm somewhere close, but I will get there. This is the first question. What's that mean? I'll be back over there with you guys. I'm just getting this thing out of the way, making sure that this is a question. My computer was off. So student wanted to find out whether there were any correlation between attached earlobe and the ability to roll tongue. 15, 20. Just bear with me a bit. I'm very sorry. Okay, cool. Yes, I have it now. Seems like we have more than one question. Oh, that one is a construct a table. Okay, I will be doing this, and everybody should look at it. All right, good. I have a question here now. Let me get back to you. Sorry about that. It happens every now and then. Okay, so 2 persons answered. Barnett said that her chance of having either child the next time is going to be a 1-to-1. She might have a male, she might have a female. Once it's going to be normal birth, it's going to be 1-to-1. Powell said that it's a 50% chance of her having male or female. Now, the other persons did not answer, and you not answering it really put me in a really dangerous position, because I don't know if I should throw you this question because I don't know where you are. So I'm asking these questions pretty much to understand where you are and if I should give you the question that I have planned for you this evening. Well, you did not say anything, so I'm going to throw the question your way. Please listen, guys. You probably have to write it down, so I'm going to dictate, you write it down, and we solve it together. We'll talk it through. So I am coming from the CXC, the CSEC, CXC 032 2019 paper. It is on pretty much page 18. The question does not belong to CSEC Biology, the cover page. The question is pretty much the property of CXC, but we are doing an overview as we prepare students for the CXC exam. The question reads, a genetist studied the inheritance of eye color in fruit flies. So the genetist studied the inheritance of eye color in fruit flies. She mated 2 flies with red eyes. She mated 2 flies with red eye color and found that of the total of 20 offsprings, 15 had red eyes while 5 had brown eyes. Draw a genetic diagram to explain the result. And I'll read again. A bike is going to pass shortly, so let me just straight with this. So here we go. A genetist studied the inheritance of eye color in fruit flies. She mated 2 flies with red eyes and found that of the total of 20 offspring, so the F1 generation, 20 offsprings, 15 had red eyes while 5 had brown eyes. Draw a genetic diagram to explain the result. Now, I'm back with you. Did you get that? Yes, no, maybe so. Tell me what, so we can move on. All right, before you solve this question, the first thing I want to know is what's the genotype for the parents? And I am using capital R, that is dominant for red. So the first thing you observe, I'm defining my allele. So let capital R be the dominant allele for red, and common R be the allele for the recessive, be the letter for the recessive allele. All right? So we have R, 2 R's working with. Now I want you to tell me what's the genotype of a parent fruit fly here. Type it in the chat for me. Don't go sleeping. If you don't know, say I don't know. Don't go sleeping. So that's a CSEC question I gave you just now. It's a 2019 question. And it's pretty easy. Anything? I'll just remind you. 2 fruit flies were mated. They had red eyes, and they produced offsprings, 20 offsprings, of which 15 had red eyes and 5 had brown eyes. All right, different color eye. All right, good. Now I'm asking you, what is the genotype for the parents? Only 2 persons answering. What's happening? What about the others? If you don't know, just say, I don't know. If you don't know, because I am waiting on you to respond. So if you're not responding and I'm here waiting, I'm pretty much waiting in vain. Right? So want to use the class time wisely. If you don't know, say, I don't know. All right. So Macmillan would have said the parents, they are homozygous dominant. Powell would have said that they are heterozygous. Candice is saying that they are heterozygous. Macmillan is now saying that one is homozygous dominant and one is heterozygous. Interesting. Interesting. All right. I don't want to give you all the answer. I want to explain at the back end. Whatever you think, the genotype of the parents is, put it in your Punnett square and solve it. Whatever. It doesn't really matter whether you get it right or wrong. Whatever you think, whatever you have on the screen, I won't correct it. Put it in your Punnett square, solve the question, and when you solve the question, I want you to tell me what is the F1 the genotype of the F1 generation. So whatever you think there, put it in your Punnett square, solve the question, and then I want you to write the genotype of the F1 generation. And then when we would have submitted our answers, I'll look at your answers and then I'm going to walk you through interpreting the question. All right, so I am going to be solving it using what you said. So I'm going to start with this one. All right, do we have answers? Just solve for yours, you know. Don't solve for anybody else. Just solve for yours and send me the genotype. And when you send me the genotype, then I'll ask you a couple of questions. Doesn't really matter whether you get it wrong or right. I'd love for you to get it right, but if it's not right, that's fine. All right, so what we're doing now, guys, we are looking at the two inheritance that we did last class on Friday. I'm giving you a past paper question on one of the type of inheritance that we looked at. Sir, why I say my answer, because 15 is red and 5 is another color, which indicates that both parents cannot be homozygous dominant to the trait. This person sound like they're thinking, Powell sound like they're thinking a kind of way. I don't know if you're thinking right or wrong, but you're thinking. So yes, Macmillan, so yes, if I did it correct, I got genotype. All right, so Macmillan, I'm writing down what you have there. Don't worry yourself, stay right where you are. What is important is that you did it. All right, Peart, I don't know, sir. Beautiful, that's a good answer as well. All right, Powell, so I get R, so I get, oh, that's for your genotype. That's for your genotype for the parent. Okay, okay. So I think that this is everybody's answer. Do I got it now? Yes, no? Should I start solving it with you now? I'm not going to solve it. You're going to solve it. I'm just going to walk you through it and you're going to solve it. So should we start now? Now we are going to step up this game here. So if we're talking about the parental genotype, say parental genotype, if we're talking about the F1 generation, say this is the F1 generation. So I understand clearly where you are. Yes, sir, because I'm cold sweating. All right, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. All right, beautiful. One other thing that we know when we are doing the genetic diagram, we are doing monohybrid inheritance. And when we use a Punnett square with the monohybrid inheritance that we have here, we realize that we're getting 4 offsprings. Now, if you observe, when we look at the percentage, don't look at what is written in this. When we look at the percentage, we are getting 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. So that makes a total of how much percent? Tell me in the chat. I'm not going to tell you, you are going to answer the question yourself. I'm just going to help you to sort of break it down a little simpler. I'll make it a little simpler. So we have 425%. What's the total there? How much percent in total? Tell me in the chat. 100%. All right, at least everybody should know that 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 is 100. And some persons are not working with me. I don't like that. When I'm not getting the energy, I can't work. I don't feel the class. I want everybody to be working. If you don't know, say I don't know. All right? Because that helped me to plan the lesson and move along with the lesson. All right? If you don't work with me, I can't work with you. I don't want to run away and you don't understand. My intent is for you to learn it, not just to talk about it today. All right? Beautiful. All right, good. Hi, Amoy. Welcome to the show. Stop being late from a class. You're being naughty. You're going to go in the naughty corner, Amoy. All right, cool. So here we go. Let's get back to that question. We had 20 offspring for the F1 generation, right? Yes, no, I want your answer. We had 20, is it so? For the F1 generation, yes, no? I'm waiting on you to respond. No one will fall asleep today. You're going to work it through. You are going to solve it. We had 20 offspring, yes, beautiful. Good. Of the 20 offsprings that we had, we had 15 being one kind and 5 being another type. We don't even matter. We're not even going to think about what was red or what was brown. 15 was one type and 5 was one type. Now we started out with 20. 5 out of 15 is how much percent? I don't know the maths. You do the maths. 5 out of 15. 5 out of 15. 5 upon 15 multiply by 100 upon 1. All right, or 5 upon 20, or 5 divided by 20, multiplied by 100. What is your answer? We want to find out 5 represent what percentage of the F1 generation. What percentage of the F1 generation does 5 represent? Tell me in the chat. I just told you how to work it out. Hi, good evening. What going on, Gavi? Gavi, you need to inbox me. Go to the channel inbox. Go click the blue icon there and go to the back end of the channel. And click on about and go down. You'll see the channel email address. Just click on the email address. Send me an email so I can send them a new number. All right, so let's go, guys. All right, beautiful. One person is saying 25%. Oh, we got 25%. We started out with 20 as the whole, right? And if 20 is the whole and we got 5 upon 20, you have to do this basic maths for biology. 5 upon 20 multiplied by 100 would get 25%. Beautiful. So now that we calculated the 25% and I told you how to do it, 15 out of 20, how much percent is that? All right, very good, 25. Now I want to know 15 out of 20, what's the percentage there? Guys, everybody can be in the mix. You can't be wrong in this class, you know. You can't be wrong. Just say something, I will try and fix it. All right, that is why you're here. If you knew it, you wouldn't have been here. So don't be afraid. All right, so 15, we're doing a little maths here. 15 out of 20, what's the percentage there? No, not 5. Candice, you made a mistake there. All right, so Barnett is saying 75%. I want everybody to be a partner. If you cannot stay outside of the car and learn to drive, you must be a part. Please follow what I'm doing. Guys, follow where I am going. So it is 75%. Very good. Now I want you to write 75% on a piece of paper. And then I want you to write 15 plus 15 beside it. 75 and 15. Have you done that as yet? Tell me when you completed that exercise. Write in the 75 and the 15. You write the 75 and the 15 already? Yes, no, it's fine. Yes, no, it's fine. Yes, Anderson, beautiful. All I ask for you to do is to write 75 and 15, you know. I mean, that's easy. I'm expecting everybody to say yes. This is not a maths, no. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. All right. Here we go now. We're going to do some maths. Ready? 15 into itself go how much time? 1, 2, 3 times. How much time will 15 go into itself? Okay, so Barnett jumped the gun. Barnett is saying, listen to me, 15 is going to go into itself 1 time. And 15 is going to go into 75. How much time? 3? You sure? 15 will go 45 times. 45, that is how you're going to get 3. Tell me, 2 times 15, 30, and another 15, 45. Oh, I have 75. 75 and 15. What was the percentage? I think I get carried away here. But Barnes, your answer is right. All right. So let me help you here. 1 is correct. 1 is correct. 1 is correct. So what I wanted to establish here is that we had, let's get back to the thing. We had 15 and then we had 5. Now we want to see how best we can map this into what we know of a Punnett square. So 5 into itself is going to go 1 time, 5 into 15 is going to go 3 times, which is going to give us a ratio of 3 to 1. Hold one bit. Think I lost you there, but I'm going to fix it. Let me give you the question again so you can solve it now. The F1 generation had 20 offsprings. Of the 20 offsprings, 5 had brown eyes and 15 had red eyes. Good. I see. I was getting carried away. Good. So we know that based on the fact that it was a 15 to 5, it is a 3 to 1 ratio. The question gives us that right away. It's a 3 to 1 ratio. So we must find a genotype for the parent that will give us a 3 to 1 ratio at the end. I'm now going to give you another opportunity to select. Now, this is inheritance of dominance. The fact that we're seeing this type of a question, at a glance, we know that this is inheritance of dominance. So I'm going to give you another opportunity now to just write what you now think is the genotype of the parents. Some person got it right before, some persons got it wrong. Whether you got it right or wrong, write what you think is the genotype of the parents again. So we're starting out. We know that our answer is going to be a 3 to 1 ratio. 15 to 5, that's a 3 to 1 ratio. Our 25 to 75%, that is going to be a 1 to 3 ratio. Just the same. Very good. Thank you, Barnett. So if we have 25% and 75%, it's going to be 25%, 25 into itself 1 time, 25 into 75 goes 3 times. So that gives us a 1 to 3 or a 3 to 1, whichever way you want to write it. So now I want you to tell me, all right? Now Barnett, we'll have to work on this. Let me talk about the 2 answers that we have on the screen. Powell and Barnett. We have to know a number of things. The first thing that the paper tested here is if you understand the ratio. So the 20 and the 5 is to throw you off. I can't do that because I've never seen 20 and 5. Mr. Wilson, they talk about 4 things. How they got to 20 and 5. Carry it right back down to ratio. The other thing that you need to do, is to remember the law. What is it that we're doing? What type of inheritance? Now, the fact that we are crossing 2 parents and we're getting this ratio, we have to remember inheritance of dominance when we cross homozygous versus heterozygous, what the ratio will be. The ratio is consistent, and if you do all of them, you'll always remember the ratio once you study. Now, let us look at crossing Powell. If we cross what Powell has on the screen, we're going to get a 3 to 1. So I want everybody to plug that in a Punnett square and cross it. If we cross what Barnett has on the screen, we're going to get 100%. All the offspring here will have red eyes. So we're going to quickly cross what Barnett has, which is pretty much the answer there. Cross it very quickly. I remember always just do a quick Punnett square before you even write out your stuff, because you don't want to waste time writing out all the parental genotype and the gametes and you get it wrong. Plug it into the Punnett square. If you get it right on your rough work, then you write it on the paper. So I know over the years you would have known what the result is going to be. So I know when I cross like that, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that. Remember, we always write the capital first. I'm going to get that, and then I'm going to get that. So my answer, I would have gotten that. See? So if you observe here, Are you lost? Just say, if you're lost, tell me and I'll start all over. I feel like you're lost because only 2 persons are responding. So if anybody at all, if you don't understand, just say I don't understand. If you don't understand, just tell me I don't understand. Because only 2 persons are responding, which suggests that no one or most persons wouldn't understand what I'm doing. Is this a slow feed? You're not responding. What's happening? Okay, Macmillan is with me. Anybody else? If you don't understand, it seriously doesn't matter if you took part in the lesson before. If you don't understand, we will go through it again. If you don't understand, we'll go through it again. All right? Good. Even the persons who understand, they are going to understand a little more now. All right, so I'm going to stop the question because persons got lost along the way, and I'm going to start again. In our last class, we looked at inheritance of sex, and we also looked at inheritance of dominance. Okay, I see. In our last class, we looked at inheritance of dominance, and we also looked at inheritance of sex or sex determination. I was also sent over the weekend a request to do a paper 032, which is the alternative to practical. I, for the first time, looked at a paper 032. I've never looked at one before. And going through the paper, I realized that there was a genetics question there, and pretty nicely, it fell right into that gap that I'd want to have filled. It fell into the gap to have that question to test how much we learn from the inheritance of dominance. So I read the question to you earlier, and I'm going to read it again. The question says, a genetist studied the inheritance of eye color in fruit flies. She mated 2 flies with red eye color and found that of a total of 20 offsprings, 15 had red eyes while 5 had brown eyes. Draw a genetic diagram to explain the results. So that is what took us to this point for those persons who are late. The information that we have working with is that we know that 15 of the 20 had red eyes, and we know that 5 had brown eyes. Now we are working with allele, and usually there are alternative allele that pretty much cause a difference. Now the first thing we needed to do in solving this question is to define the allele. So we started out by saying, let capital R be the dominant allele for red eyes. So we defined that. The second thing we did was to define common R to be the recessive allele for red eye, and that's going to be brown eye. Well, we say recessive allele, and usually I tell my students to just write in bracket brown eye or whatever it's going to be. Beautiful. Having done that, then we have to decide what type of inheritance this is. Now, the fact that we had crossed 2 parents and we're getting the offspring to be 3-to-1, it is easy for us to say here that this is inheritance of dominance. And how we know that it is inheritance of dominance? Because without even doing the cross, looking at the genotype of the parent, it could pretty much tell you what the offspring is going to be. I'm going to pause here to just show you why it couldn't be what. So let us look at the possibility of both parents, case number 1. Possibility of both parents being homozygous. This means that both parents have red eye, they are homozygous. This is a possibility. Now, if we were supposed to cross this, we realize that all the offspring would come and they would have red eyes because the rule says once the dominant allele is expressed in the genotype, then that will show up in the phenotype. So here we know that all the offsprings here would have red eye and there will be none with brown eye. So immediately we could eliminate that because everything is going to have capital R. Let us look at the possibility of a capital R and this. So we look here, we are now crossing the homozygous and the heterozygous. And by the looks of things here, all the offsprings will end up with a capital R, which means that all the offspring again will have red eyes. So this could not be the answer. All right, beautiful. All right, we're going through. Most persons will be. So we know that this could not be the answer. So the other thing that we have to do, so this is two things we try. You in the exam, you definitely will have to try. But the first thing you're going to write, because you know that they are red eye, the possibility of any of these fruit flies having red eye could be either of two things. It's either they are heterozygous or they are homozygous. It's either they are going to be heterozygous or homozygous. Now, heterozygous meaning that they are going to be having a big letter and a small letter. Homozygous means that they are going to be having two big letters. Now, you have to have the rule for inheritance of dominance, or the rule for all inheritance, well taken care of in your brain before you could even attempt to answer this question. But we're going to be answering this question nicely today, and you're going to move on nicely. So we know that this could not represent the parents, but we know that the possibility is that if the parents have red eye, the parents could be this. Now we know that this is a possibility for the parents. We know that this is a possibility of the parents, but then something else come into play. We must have one of the offspring being homozygous recessive in order for that offspring to have the brown eye. So what we needed to do, look at these wouldn't make it, and we'd probably do a quick genetic cross and realize that they don't make it. So we just do all of them until we get it right. So we just use that square thing. So I'm going to do it, bam, we draw a square like that, and I know I'm going to just run through them. Oh, and then I said that one couldn't make it, so I know that we're going to go two heterozygous, and when we do two heterozygous, the first offspring will have the homozygous dominant for red eye. First offspring. This is the first offspring. Remember, where the intercept, we are going to write it. So the first offspring here is going to be homozygous dominant. So this offspring here has red eyes. Now let us look at this. Let's look at what will happen to this offspring, which is going to be this plus this. So it's going to give us a capital R and a common R. So here we are going to have a heterozygous offspring. All right, so we're going to have heterozygous offspring. So here we have a heterozygous offspring, capital R, common R. Once the dominant allele is expressed, which is a capital letter, then naturally, if this offspring is going to have red eyes. So we have one red eye, two red eye so far. Remember, the dominant allele is there, so the dominant allele will be expressed. Now we're going to look at the other one. Here, we're now crossing this R, capital R, with this capital R. So we are going to end up with two capital R here. And this, of course, is going to be another homozygous dominant. Right? So here again, we have another homozygous dominant. Oh, wow. Here again, we have another homozygous dominant. And this is another red eye. Now, if we were supposed to cross another big R with a small r, we are going to get another heterozygous. And if you realize here, in all the cases here, the offsprings have red eyes because the dominant allele is expressed. Capital R, capital R, capital R, capital R. So all of these organisms will have red eyes, and there we can't get a 3-to-1. That's a 100%. So now we're going to be looking at the possible answer. We're going to now be crossing, and remember, I'm doing the shortcut here. Please do not do the shortcut at home. I taught you the correct way, but I want to solve this very quickly for you. So I'm going to go the shortcut way, and then I might just fill in the rest. Now we're looking at two heterozygous parents. Each parent, big R, little r, big R, little r, right? And I could probably just put For those persons who would have learned it like that, I could probably put mom and dad. All right? Good. All right, could somebody just put my email address in the chat for me, please? Amoy, somebody, Jawawan. So now we are going to cross. Capital R plus capital R, we are going to get two big R's. So we're ending up now with one offspring here being homozygous dominant. This offspring has red eyes. Then we are going to cross now this big R with this little r. We are going to get an heterozygous offspring there. And remember, the rule says once the dominant allele is expressed, then the phenotype will be that of the dominant allele. So this organism is going to have red eye, likewise this organism. We are going to continue the cross. So now we are going to be crossing this R with this R. So it's going to capital R, common R. So we are going to get an heterozygous offspring. So it's going to be capital R plus common R. We end up now with an heterozygous offspring. Then if you observe here, we are going to cross now a common R with a common R. And now we are going to get a homozygous recessive. And this particular organism is the organism with the brown eye because it has the homozygous recessive allele to be brown eye. Now, one might say that this is the others are homozygous and heterozygous, but you are paying attention to the dominant allele and the rule which apply. So look, we said that the ratio was 3 to 1. 1, 2, 3. 3, 1. So you see, we would have worked it out and got 3 to 1. Any questions or concern? Let me know. Yes, no, do you have any concerns? Yes, no, somebody. Powell, I'm going to call you out. Powell, were you able to solve that? Macmillan, were you able to solve it? Do you understand what I did just now? Powell? No, sir, I saw what you did. Oh, but you can't do it. You saw what I did, but you can't do it. All right, fine, not a problem. I'm not going to move on until you get it right. Anybody else? All right. Okay, it's clear to you. Yes, sir, I understand. Okay, cool. I understand. All right, beautiful. Beautiful. The other persons are not talking to me. I don't know why. When I was going to college, my teacher taught me reading in the content area. So, sir, I followed everything you did, but I want to find out what's the best way for you to go along working that out in the exam room. Will you advise? Would you advise doing it like you did, or find a next way? All right. Holy moly. Nice question. I'm thinking that's why I have this in my hand. The way I worked it out just a while ago, that is not how you're going to do it for CXC. The only way you're going to do it like I did it just now is if you're working it out for the multiple choice paper. If you're working it out for that 032 paper, or if you're working it out for a paper 2 exam, that is not how it is done. If you are working it out for the paper 2 exam or for the 032, I'm going to show you how it is done. What I did a while ago is to quickly check all the possibilities, and once I would have found the answer, then I'm going to write it, or I'm supposed to write it for the exam. So I'm not too sure what type of inheritance this, but I know that I need to get a result that is 3 to 1. So I'm going to work out the possibilities, having defined my allele. The exam didn't give you any allele there. You have to make them yourself. Now, you could use any letter. You could use A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and that is why you need to define the allele. So the first thing you're going to do, now that I know what I am supposed to do. Okay, beautiful. So now that I know what I'm supposed to do, because I did the rough check, I'm going to define my allele. So I'm going to say let R be the dominant allele. And remember that I said you could just say let R be dominant. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is to let R be dominant. All right, I could write it like that, or I could just write probably R dominant. All right, so I could write R dominant. All right, and we're talking about red eye, so we could just put in bracket because you're not pro yet. So we could just write red eyes. All right, so dominant red eyes. All right, so when I'm going through the question, I won't forget. And then I could just write a common R, and I could say recessive, and it is recessive for red eye, but this time it's going to be brown eye. Why I want to write brown? Because if I'm asked to write the gene, the phenotype of the F1 generation, I don't want to write red. I want to remember what I was doing, and I don't want to read that question again. So I would have defined my allele like that. Now you're answering for the paper too. R, dominant, red eye, common R, recessive, brown eye. And you understand that? Good. Having done that, the first thing I'm going to write is my parental phenotype. So you're going to write a parental phenotype. So now that we have defined the alleles, these are the alleles that we're going to use to write the genotype. But we know now that we are going to write the phenotype, and we know that both parents, what's a phenotype for both parents? Let me ask you. I don't want to tell you. But we have to indicate which one is dominant and which one is recessive. But that's what I did. When I said R dominant and R recessive, I could just type let at the top there, and that pretty much is to define the alleles. So the first thing we did there was to define the allele. See? We define the allele. We don't start solving it now. First, we have to define the allele so we are sure what we are working with. So you are going to tell me what's the parental genotype? What's the genotype? Sorry, what's the phenotype for the parents? What's the phenotype? That's the first thing we want to know. What's the phenotype? Phenotype is that which you can see, or probably I like to say see and detect. Not the letters. No. The phenotype is going to be the color of the eye. What is the color of the eye for the parents? No, what's the color of the eyes for the parents? Remember, it's eye color that we're testing now, you know. What's the color? Red, beautiful. So we know that both parents have red eyes. So that we know that the parental phenotype is red eyes. So we'll write that. Parental phenotype, red eyes. We know that both parents have red eyes. All right. So we are coming down nicely. Probably I should just fold this backward that you are not carried away by it. So we are coming down. We define the allele, let red be dominant. We have the parental phenotype, and then we wrote red and red eyes. Both have red eyes. Beautiful. Now that we have written the parental phenotype, the next thing we need to write now is a parental genotype. And if you have space, you write them in one line. So the parental genotype, based on the cross that we did a while ago, we know that they are both heterozygous for the trait. So it's going to be capital R, common R, that's the genotype, capital R, common R. That's going to be the genotype. And now we are solving for the particular question or for the paper 2 exam. Capital R, common R. Then, having written the parental genotype, the next thing we are going to do is to write the gametes. So we are just going to break away, and I'm going to be using my arrows just to make it easier. So the gamete there is going to be capital R, and over here it is going to be common R. Here it is going to be capital R, and over here it is going to be common R. So here we have the genotype. All that we did was to push these apart. This is pretty much a gamete. Genotype here, and then we have the gamete. I hope I'm not too far. All right, good. We must always do that. So this here represents the gametes. Never ever leave this step out. Never leave this step out. All right, good. The next thing I want to do, having done that, I, Mr. Wilson, don't want to draw any line crossing up anywhere because I will not remember. Or probably I don't remember. Of course I remember, but you might not remember. So having done that, I would have had my allele here now to put in the Punnett square. So having reached this stage, what I'm going to do now is to draw my Punnett square. That's the other thing I'm going to do. So what I'm going to be doing, after I reach there, I draw my rectangle. And then I'm going to do all the fancy stuff you told me to do. There we go. And then I'm going to put mom at the bottom, as you said. We're using for those persons who are new, little arrow attached to a 0 here representing dad and mom here. And we know that they both have the same genotype. So we're going to be writing a capital R and a common R, a capital R and a common R. There we go. And then wherever they intercept, we write both letters. So both capital R intercepting the cell, we write capital R. Capital R, I'm using capital R and common R for those persons, not to make life too difficult for them. And then we are going to have that. And we ended up with this. All right. Now we know that the F1 generation is going to be 1 red eye, 2 red eye, 3 red eyes, 1 brown eye, based on the fact that we said that this allele here, recessive, brown eyes. And the rule says once you're seeing the capital letter here, the dominant allele, the phenotype is going to be the same. So of course, this is pretty much how we are going to solve it. So to explain, just let me go back to the question and read what it says. It says, draw a genetic diagram to explain the result. Now, in explaining the result here, now that you have drawn and you have seen the 3-to-1, you are going to explain, wow, I hope I showed you the right thing. You are going to explain the rule here. Once the dominant allele, which represented by the capital R, is expressed, then the phenotype of the offspring will be that of the dominant allele. There is no dominant allele here, hence this is a recessive, this is homozygous recessive, hence this offspring here is going to be brown eye, while the others will of course be red eye. So all you're going to use here after you've solved it is to pretty much use the rule that governs inheritance of dominance. Now let me tell you how much mark you'd get for that. For CXC, the paper 032, that is 3 marks. And trust me, 3 marks is a lot. 3 marks is a lot. So you define this and do the drawing, go down, and you're over and out it. But you realize that if you did not study, it would take you 1 hour to do that question. We're 1 hour in. Is everybody fine? Everybody's all right? Talk to me. I'm finished with that now. I'm finished with that question. All right, so you will see me solving that question when I do the paper 032. That's the other time I'll go to that question. We were supposed to do today, we were supposed to look at today inheritance of recessiveness and inheritance of course, sex-linked inheritance. I won't be able to do sex-linked inheritance because of the time, but I'm going to be looking at recessiveness And the first thing we need to know is that if we're going to be inheriting anything that is recessive, and we're going to be talking about inheritance of recessiveness, we must inherit this trait in the homozygous dominant, in the homozygous recessive form. Inheritance of recessiveness, we must inherit the trait in the homozygous recessive form. So let us use common A for the recessive allele for albinism. So to inherit, to have albinism or to be an albino, write in the chat there for me now, what will be the genotype of an individual who is suffering from albinism? Write it in the chat there for me. The genotype. Remember we said that if you are going to, albino is of course a recessive condition. So I want you to tell me in the chat, a person who is suffering from albinism, or a person who has albino, a person who is an albino, what will be their genotype if you have to inherit it in its homozygous recessive form? Okay, Barnett is with us. Anybody else? Anybody else? Are you okay with what Barnett said? Are you okay with what Barnett said? Mid I saying the same thing? Am I saying the same thing? Anybody else? I need to get my paper. Anybody else? All right, albinism is a condition that you need to know for both biology and HSB. When a person suffers from when a person is an albino, this person tends to lose pigment in the skin and the iris. They usually have difficulty seeing in bright light, and of course, they have to wear skin protection from the harmful rays from the sun. Now, you need to read some more on albinism, or you need to go to my video on inheritance of recessiveness, and all is explained there. Like I said at the start of the class, this is a practical session, so the theory, I won't be walking you through much of that. Now, when we talk about inheritance of recessiveness, two big one or two that might appear on your exam paper is, of course, albinism and cystic fibrosis. All right, good. Now, cystic fibrosis is a condition in which the body produces more mucus than it can naturally manage. Now, if the body is producing more mucus than should be, then your cells are going to stifle. There will be no oxygen moving into your cell at the rate that it should. So usually a person that is suffering from cystic fibrosis might live up to about age 21 or age 35 thereabout, and they might pass on. Now there are Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and you could probably go and read some more on cystic fibrosis. But it is something that you have to use a pump, an oxygen pump, if you are ever suffering from this condition or if you inherit it. Now, these are things that we inherit. They are inherited trait, cystic fibrosis, albinism, which takes me to this point. Genetic counseling is something that a person does in order to plan their future with a partner, usually. If you were supposed to do some genetic counseling, do you think persons should do genetic counseling? Let us start there. Yes or no? I'm started taking it down to build it back up. Do you think persons should do genetic counseling? Yes, no? Do you think that person should do genetic counseling? Yes, no? Tell me in the chat. Do you think that person should be doing genetic counseling? Is it important? Does it make any sense? All right, so Macmillan says, Amoy says yes. Okay, cool. All right, beautiful. Now, if you were supposed to do some genetic counseling, and you were supposed to find out that your partner has the trait for albino or cystic fibrosis, would you continue? Or let us not look at those. If you found that your partner has a recessive condition that could be harmful to your gene pool, would you continue with the relationship? Yes or no? Your partner has a gene that is not something that you'd love to have in your family. Would you continue with the relationship? Yes or no? These are some tough. No, you wouldn't continue. Interesting. You found out that your partner has a trait, any one of these recessive condition that is not beneficial to your gene pool. I want to find out if you would continue or you just quit and say, hey, sorry, bro, I really like you, but this is not what I am looking for. So I'm asking now, would you continue or would you just call it a day? All right, so persons are saying no, depends. Amoy, depends on what? Macmillan, depends on what? You decide not to have children, so probably you just adapt. Which takes me to another question. If it doesn't matter, if it depends and you are willing to throw the dice to end up with a 3-to-1 or whatever the ratio will be, if it doesn't matter, why bother to do the genetic counseling? You just want to know. If it doesn't matter, why do the genetic counseling? You want to tell me? It doesn't matter whether or not your partner. What exactly are these traits? Well, we made mention of two. We said the offspring, the person could have the trait for albinism, or the person could have the trait for cystic fibrosis. This is just two of the many. So whatever these bad things are, there are many bugs. There could be many. I really don't want to touch everything because of other reasons. All right. So you found out that your partner has a trait that is not one you want in your gene pool. Would you continue or would you stop? Oh, that new message was it says Schwartz, it was my email address. I'm not too sure what happened there. All right, I'm not sure if you can see it now. I pinned it there. Oh, the email address is Extreme Solutions, JA, and Extreme is spelled EXTREME. Can you see it now? All right, so if you were supposed to click, okay, cool. All right. So let me see what's happening here. It depends. To me, there could be a chance a child won't get. Okay. Uh, so, okay, cool. So persons are saying it's important to do the genetic counseling. And your partner should be comforted by the fact that you will not walk. You won't say, let's kiss and say goodbye. It's going to be depending on what will happen. And some person said that, guess what? We won't have children. We will probably adopt. And some persons say, we are going to roll the dice. We might end up with a Beethoven. Or, it might be in our favor. It doesn't have to be negative. There's always a possibility. All right. I don't know. I don't know how to say this. I really don't know how to say this. This is really a really touchy topic because we tend to fall in love before we know the facts. That's the truth. We tend to fall in love and fall for each other before we know the facts. And sometimes knowing the facts, we're so selfish that we will go ahead and put the poor offspring at risk. But the truth is, you are going to find out as I go deeper into inheritance that we have negative conditions which can be positive in some other case. So by itself, it is negative, but in some other case, this negative condition would have caused a whole lot of persons to survive. So we're going to be looking at that as we get deeper into the lesson. So cystic fibrosis, like I said, the body producing more mucus than it should, and this presents a challenge with the cells breathing. We spoke about albinism, where we lack melanin or the pigment in the skin and in the iris, and that also poses some challenge. We said that these two conditions, they are recessive condition, and in order to have these conditions, you must acquire the homozygous recessive allele, which means that it must be two common letters. It must be two common letters for those persons who are still working with the letters. So I'm going to make this a little simple for you. Now, persons who would have had the heterozygous form, which is capital A and common A, being that we're using A's, persons who would have had this form, the heterozygous form, they are considered to be carriers. So they are carriers of the trait. The thing about carriers is that they are not significantly affected by the trait. However, they will carry around the trait and the possibility of passing on this trait to the offspring. We get that? Cool. A person who has two capital A's or homozygous dominant, they are not affected by the trait. They are perfectly healthy, perfectly fine, and they have the melanin in their skin. So when it comes to albinism, I would have two nice capital A. I would not be affected by the whole albino illness. Cool. I made mention of three things. So let me just quickly write them again for you, for those persons who didn't get it. So if you have albino, then you are going to have two common A's. That person has albino. That is person number one. Person number two, this person is a carrier, and this person is not affected. Good night. This person is not affected by the illness. Person number three, this person is perfect and does not have the ability to pass on the trait to the offspring. So the person number one and the person number two, they can pass on the trait to the offspring. Beautiful. Person number one is said to be homozygous recessive. Person number two is said to be heterozygous for the trait, and this person is called a carrier. Person number two is heterozygous, not affected by the trait, even though they have the trait, and they are called a carrier. Person number three is not affected by the trait, does not have the trait, does not have the possibility of passing on the trait. The person is perfectly fine. We're looking at albino. Please ensure that you do some reading on albinism and you are ready now to do your practical. So being that I used all those fancy words a while ago, I'm now just going to use the fancy words, and you are going to tell me, you are going to give me the results. So we're stepping it up a notch. I told you that that is what would have happened, and it's going to get a little more difficult as we go up. So let us go. Amoy, are you ready? Are you ready, Amoy? Powell, are you ready? Audrey, are you ready? Barnett, are you ready? Nicola White, are you ready? Tell me. Now we're doing inheritance of recessiveness. And as we talk about recessiveness and Amoy saying that she's ready, might I just remind us that approximately 2% of a European population has a trait for albinism. Might I also remind us that approximately 3.5% of Europe has the trait for cystic fibrosis. So we are ready to go. This is for biology, right? No, what we're doing is for both biology and HSB. We are doing genetics, and it's for biology and HSB. We are covering both topics at the same time. And when we have to break our way to biology, we say this is for biology. And when we have to zero in on HSB, we'll always say this is HSB only. But now it's for both biology and HSB. Yep. So let us go. We have two carrier parents. Coming together, cohabitating, copulating, but they have offspring. What will be the F1 generation of these carrier parent? And we're looking at albinism. And we would have defined capital A to be normal, or the dominant allele, and common A to be the recessive allele. What is going to be the genotype of the F1 generation? So I'll do my little working on my paper, but this time you have to get it right. So we're looking at both parents, they are carriers. So I'm going to do my little thing there, my little thing there. That pen is not working anymore. Finish. Both parents, male, female. Keep up the practice of male and female, because when we are looking at sex-linked inheritance, having male or female is going to make a big difference. So keep writing your male, female, so that you can always track it. So let me see what is going to happen here. Beautiful. Cool. Woohoo! Barnett coming on real strong. I wonder what's wrong. What's all the attitude for Barnett? I'm not too sure, White. I'm not too sure of that answer. I'm not too sure of that answer. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what you're saying there. We want the F1 generation, so we want everybody, not just one child. We want the F1 generation. Powell is coming out with some attitude. What does that mean here? What's all this attitude for? What's the attitude for? Come on, guys. Come on, let me see what's happening. Come on, guys. I'm waiting on the response. Only Barnett and Powell. Come on, guys. Both parents, they are carriers. Amoy have a little attitude here. I sense a little attitude here from Amoy. All right. What about the others? What about the others? Come on, guys. You signed on for the practical. We're doing practical, we're doing inheritance, and I'm going really slow. Mackenzie is having some attitude here. Macmillan. Macmillan. I think you need to revisit what we have there, Macmillan. Something is not so all right, Macmillan. Check out what's happening there. Check out what's happening there, Macmillan. All right, anybody else? All right. So now that we have the genotype, all the entries so far are correct. Macmillan, please correct that entry. Macmillan, please correct your entry. All right, beautiful, 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 beautiful. This is wonderful. Now, what we're going to be doing now that you have the genotype, I want you to tell me the phenotypic ratio. All right, Candice, remember that we write the capital, naming convention, we usually write the capital letter first, all right? Not that it is really wrong, but it's just a convention, you know? If you know you understand something, you understand. So once we see you write it that way, we know that you're not so sure. All right, thanks, Paul, that was good. All right, guys, so I want the phenotypic ratio. All right, cool. Wonderful, Macmillan. So now I want the phenotypic ratio. Phenotypic ratio. Don't understand. Remember, if you don't understand, just say you don't understand. Don't allow me to sit here thinking that the internet is slow. All right, cool. That's fine, Macmillan. What's the phenotypic ratio? Powell, let us hold that for a bit. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. All right, Amoy, don't understand. That's beautiful, Amoy. All right, 3-1 albino. All right, cool. 3-1. So did Amoy answer the thing? All right, cool. Let me just check. But Amoy, you got the genotypic ratio. All right. But the phenotypic ratio gave you a little challenge. All right, cool. When we asked for the phenotype, we were pretty much asking for what will the offspring be? Will they be, as we're looking now at albinism, we're looking at the fact, we were looking at whether they were albino or they were not albino. We started off by looking at carriers, and we are saying that carriers are really heterozygous for the trait. So if they are heterozygous for the trait, they are going to be big A, little a for both mother and father. And then we would have done all the fancy things that we are supposed to do, and then we would just plug it into the Punnett Square, and the Punnett Square would have given us the genotype. Now, from the genotype, we must be able to look at the genotype and say what the offsprings are going to be. Now, we know that this is inheritance of recessiveness. So the person here who's going to have the albino is the person with the 2 common A. So most persons say that everybody is going to be normal. Our person would have said 75-25 or that type of a thing, or 3-1, which is the same. Now, that is a nice way of expressing it, but we could even express it with more detail. We could say that there'll be one normal person. So it's written as 1 normal, 2 normal carrier, 1 albino. But this is fine, but to be a little more specific, hit it on the head, is that it's going to be 1 normal, 2 carrier normal, and 1 albino. So what this tells us is that from this F1 generation, there are actually 3. There's a 3-1 chance that in the F2 generation, they will be able to pass on the trait. So if we move on to F2 generation, there's a 3-1 chance that they'll be able to pass it on, because 3 of the offspring here, they have the trait or suffer from the condition, right? While 1 of the child, as somebody said, probably 1 child will come without it. 1 of the child is normal, does not have the trait. All right, so beautiful. Let us see if we could try again, Amoy, to see if you can get it this time. Now we are crossing a carrier parent with an albino parent. So this carrier parent look normal, skin color is fine and everything. Don't even know that the parent doesn't even know that him or her is a carrier. But this carrier parent in love with this albino person and decided to have offspring. What will the F1 generation be? One normal, two trait, one disease. Okay. Okay, one normal, two. I understand where you're going. All right. So here we are crossing. I don't know if that's the one for the one I'm doing now. So here we are crossing a carrier. Remember, the carrier is always the heterozygous state. The carrier has been crossed with an albino. Remember, the albino is the homozygous recessive. So I'm giving you all names using all fancy names. You realize from the example I gave you from CXC, that's very important that you understand the ratio. All right, cool. So now we're looking at a new question. Thank you very much, White. We are looking at a new question. And I didn't even work it, but it looked like Barnett came out there with some attitude. And she's giving us the genotype. So I usually just do the Punnett Square. And because I do this Punnett Square very quickly, if I'm not careful, sometimes I forget I tend to forget the genotype, the gametes, sorry. I really don't want to forget the gametes. So make sure that you are doing that practice while you come along. Don't just practice the Punnett Square, because the fact that you have the Punnett Square all locked already, you want to start from parental phenotype, parental genotype, gamete, then the Punnett square for segregation. So then I'm going to put dad up top. I could choose anyone to be dad. I don't know which one is dad. Could put dad or mom anywhere. We're not really looking at the sex right now. It doesn't really matter right now. And then we're going to be doing that cross. Let me see what we have here. Oh, wow, this is a wonderful cross. And we ended up with that. So let me see what's there. We had okay, we have that, we have that. All right, some person's coming out here with some attitude, and I think I'm liking it. The attitude here is like really up. The temperature is really hot in the room. But there are some persons who are still not understanding, or they really don't want to be a part of the limelight. They don't want to write on the board. And it's fine, but I'd prefer if you're here taking part. All right, good. So those responses are fine. I'm thinking that somebody doesn't understand, and that is why we're only having 3 responses. So that's pretty much a genotype for the F1 generation. That's what we're having on screen. Now we want to look at what the phenotypic ratio will be. And I want you to outline in detail the ratio, break apart everything. When you are telling me, tell me what is normal, what is carrier, tell me who is normal, who is carrier, and who was albino. I don't want any shortcut, not 3 to 1 or whatever like that. No, you are going to hit it smack on the head because I want you to get this practice. All right, so give me the phenotypic ratio now. All right, so we are going to have 1 normal carrier to 1 albino. Look at that, everybody. Anybody with something different? That's supposed to hit somebody real hard. It's a ratio, so we express it in the simplest form. Always remember, ratio, so we express it in the simplest form. Everybody is with that? Our Barnett is going too hard for you guys. All right, so how Barnett arrived at that answer? What she did, she has 2 carrier there and 2 albino. So 2 into itself 1 time, 2 into itself 1 time, ending up with 1 to 1. All right, 2 out of 4 carrier. No Amoy. This one is giving you a fight. Amoy, you have to use the ratio. So 2 is going to be carrier, and 2, the heterozygous state, capital A, common A, those 2, they are going to be normal carriers, but you want to express that in the simplest form. So 2 into itself go 1 time. So that is 1 normal carrier. And then the 2 common A, which is the homozygous recessive, those are going to be albino. So it is expressed as 1 normal carrier or 1 carrier to 1 albino. All right? All right, Amoy? So 2 out of 4 normal carrier Cool. So what is the other part, Amoy? So you're going to have another 2 out of 4 that is albino. All right, but look at that is fraction. The out of 4 is fraction that you're giving us now, Amoy. I know. And even if you're giving us that as fraction, you'd have to express it in its simplest form, and that would have been half. 1 out of 2, 2 into itself, 1 times 2 into 4, but 2 times it would have been a half. Remember that we're using the maths when it comes to genetics. We're using fraction, we're using ratio, and what else do we use? Fraction, ratio, and something else. What else? Percentage. All right, cool. Sir, did not get the question. All right, beautiful. I'll give you another question because there's a lot of questions. Now we're going to be crossing 2 albino persons. Both parents are albino. What will be the F1 generation? Right, F1 generation for me. So Barnett has a nice answer there. And of course, both Barnett are all the others up the top there. Barnett, Lawrence, Macmillan, all those are good answers for what we did just now. What we did just now was to cross the carrier parent with the albino parent, and we ended up with those genotype and the phenotype that Barnett has there. But I realize that persons are falling off. Probably you need to go to my channel and watch the demonstration, the full lesson that we would have done on the channel. All right. All right, good. So Amoy is coming out strong now. Amoy, why you erase it? We cross 2 albino parents. What will be the F1 generation? Amoy had it right just now, and then Amoy erased it. Wrong and strong, Amoy. So your answer here is going to be, of course, all the offsprings will be homozygous recessive, and the genotype is going to be exactly what is on the screen, exactly what Amoy type, exactly what Powell type, exactly what White has there. That's pretty much the answer. And then the phenotype, yes, Barnett has it right, just the same. And then what will be the phenotype of the F1 generation? All right. Anderson coming on very strong as well. What now will be the phenotype? What will be the phenotype? They all, you can't just say albinism. You have to use all or half or something like that because we don't know. All right. So Macmillan, we're looking at the phenotype now. What will be the phenotype? The AA, the letters are the genotype. So we're now looking at what the phenotype will be. Phenotype. What will be the phenotype of the F1 generation? All right, so Amoy, all that you need to say is that they all will be albino. All right, so they are indeed all will be homozygous recessive, yes. Hence, they are all albinos. All right, very good. Sir, I don't know what's happening. My message are being sent more than once. I'm not too sure. The question, some time ago, person said that the messages were being deleted. I spoke to YouTube on it. I was having a chat with them, and they checked the account, and they weren't able to find anything. So they had asked me to copy and send it as a post next time. So when we're having challenges like those, you probably want to copy it, print screen it, and send it to me and your account to my email address, and I'll just send it to YouTube. Now we have a creator chat, so I can just go on now and chat to somebody. All right. All albinos, very good. All will have albino. All right, very good. And it keeps loading my response. I don't know. That might be a virus on your system. That sounds like a virus. I'm not too sure. All right. So I'm just going to I'm just going to be bringing down the curtain on albinoism, and if you were supposed to do cystic fibrosis, the cross, remember that you just define letters. So probably you want to define it as C or whatever you want to define it as. but make sure that the definition is there well stated that you can follow as you go through. Remember, the topical thing here is that the person could be affected by the disease if it's a recessiveness, and if a person is affected by the disease, it means that the person would have acquired the homozygous recessive trait, which means that they would have the two little letters. Now, if they are carriers, they are going to have one big letter or one capital letter and one small letter. We refer to that as being heterozygous, or they are carriers. Now, if they are carriers, they will not be affected by the trait, but they will walk around with that trait and they could pass it on to their F1 generation without even knowing that they are actual carriers, right? Now, if they have two capital A, which is, of course, homozygous dominant, they will be perfectly fine and they will not possess that ability to move on the trait by themselves. Thank you very much, Paul. All right, good. So that we need to recall. Now, I realized that when I went through the practical just now, a lot of person got it wrong. I mean, this is a class that I use the most paper. I didn't know. I think I might be using more paper as we go along. But of course, we're going to do this one more time. I should have left here from an hour and a half. We're now an hour and 40 minutes. That's a little too much now because of what we have. I have a lot of things to do, and I always tell you that work would have started, and I have to go to work, so I have to prepare for all of that, right? But we're still here. So what I'm going to do for everybody in the room now, the same for the same for sickle cell. All right, good. All right, good. We're going to we're supposed to look at sickle cell, but the next time around, I am going to be looking at let me tell you what I'm going to be looking at in the next class. In the next class, I am going to be looking at I will talk a little bit about sickle cell. I need to talk about sickle cell. I spoke about mutation earlier. I need to talk about sickle cell. So in the next class, I'll be talking about sickle cell, and I might say a little more about cystic fibrosis, and I might start the class with that cystic fibrosis, and of course albinism. I might talk a little bit more about that. But in the next class, what we're going to be doing is inheritance, sex-linked inheritance, some diseases that we have inherited are some, I want to say trait, I don't want to say disease, some trait that we would have inherited that is based on sex. The disease, the trait, sorry, travels on the X chromosome. So we want to look at hemophilia, which is what we refer to as a bleeding disease, and we want to look at color blindness. It is not true that is man alone colorblind. Come on, come on, come on. It is not true. All right, but I explain why they tend to say that it is actually men who are colorblind, but both male and female can be colorblind. All right, let us look at this very quickly. I'm going to go through what we did just now. So I'm going to be giving you, I'm going to number them 1, 2, 3. So let me start by doing this. I'm not going to leave anything to chance. So I'm going to ask you to cross two normal parents, two homozygous dominant parent for albino, and tell me what the genotype will be and what the phenotype will be. Then I want you to cross after that. Please write down what I'm saying. Then I want you to cross after that a carrier parent with a normal parent, and you're going to tell me what the genotype and the phenotype will be. Then you're going to be crossing a normal parent with an albino parent, and you're going to tell me what the offspring will be. And then you're going to be crossing a carrier parent with a albino parent, and you're going to tell me what the offspring will be. Now, what you're going to observe is that I think I would have gone through all the possible crosses here. No, just one more, 5. And this is a given, but let me not leave it to chance. I want you to cross two albino parents, and you're going to tell me what the offspring will be. Now, what you're going to realize is that you're going to be, all right, I'll repeat in a bit. You're going to be coming up with a fraction that is consistent, a ratio that is consistent, and once you know your ratio or your fraction for whichever of the inheritance, when you see a question, you would have already solved at least half of the question by just knowing what the ratio should be. So when you cross For example, I am the brightest person here, so let me do the first one first. The first one first is when I cross two, when I do number one. Can I take number one? Yes, I'm going to take number one. Thank you guys, you've been so kind. So when you cross two normal parents, you are going to get all normal offspring. Yeah, I'm right. Don't you think? Oh yes, yes. If you cross two normal parents, you are going to get all normal offsprings. And I will do another one for you just to show you how brilliant I am. If you cross two albino parents, all the offsprings will be albino. Wow, I'm learning. Can you believe, guys? No. All right. So you are going to be doing that. You're going to be crossing two normal parents, which is of course homozygous dominant, and you're going to tell me what the offspring is going to be, what the phenotype is going to be, what the genotype is going to be. Then you're going to be crossing carrier parents with a normal parents, and you're going to tell me what the phenotype is going to be and what the genotype is going to be. We're looking at the phenotypic ratio, genotypic ratio, that type of thing. And then you're going to be crossing a normal parent with an albino parent, and you're going to be doing pretty much the same thing, the genotype and the phenotype. And then you're going to be doing the carrier parent. I did this twice. No, then you're going to be doing the carrier parent with an albino parent. And of course, you're going to do this, tell me what the result will be. And then you're going to cross two albino parents and tell me what the offspring is going to be. Five tasks there for you, for those persons who would have missed it. I really don't have all the fancy dancy stuff, so I work with the limitation of using pen and paper to teach it. I think someday things will change for us. We'll have some money that we can finance this show a little better to help those who really need the help. All right, so there we go. So Powell is out strong, and she's saying, Powell is saying for question number one, the genotype is going to be all AA. And what is going to be the phenotype, Powell? So you would have said the genotype. What's going to be the phenotype? All right, this is how we're going to bring the curtain down. So I am like listening now. So you have question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you write the hold on a bit. No, Powell, I don't want you to go that way. What I want you to do, I want you to write number 1, and then you are going to write, no, you can't say one normal. You must say all normal, or 20% normal, or 25% normal, or whatever. You have to come in with the percentage or the fraction or the ratio. All right? So you can't just say that. I want you to use it. If you are doing ratio, you have to use that ratio sign, the colon sign. If you are doing percentage, you have to use the percentage sign, and you must say the normal or the carrier or the albino. You must do that. All right. So we want to make that representation well. So you're going to answer everything for 1, then everything for 2. So you're going to answer the genotype first, then you answer the phenotype, then you answer the genotype, then the phenotype. Sir, it was the number 1. Sorry for that. That's fine. That's fine. So let's go with it again. So number 1 genotype is going to be AAA. Remember to put the commas between them. Remember, put the commas between them. That's very, very important. All right. So number 1, all normal. Beautiful. That's much better, Powell. Continue. Remember that we're taking both answers at the same time, Barnett. So you should have had 1 for the genotype, and then just below the genotype. I don't know if you can do that. And just below it, you have your phenotype. All right, so we are bringing the curtain down with these questions. I ask everybody to participate, and I'll take my leave right after you would have answered these questions. I'm a little over time. I'll be with you soon, guys. I am. Guys, you have to visit the channel and try to find things, including the students who are doing HSB. Remember that there are some labs that you should know. All right, that's the genetic playlist I posted just now. So let me see what's happening here. 1, phenotype, all normal. 3, all normal genotype. All right. Powell 3 there is saying they're saying all normal genotype, but they are carrier. They have the trait. So you want to say normal carrier. You don't want to tell me you're working at Corrigan, and you are counseling me. So here it is. You are telling me now that if I were supposed to hook up with this person, then all my children would be normal. This person doesn't have the trait any at all. I don't want you to do that. I want, even though they are normal, you must still tell me that they are carriers. You need to let me know that. You can't tell me that they are normal. They are not normal. They are normal carrier. They are not affected by the trait, but they could pass on the trait. So please let us get that right. I didn't work them out, 50% normal, 50% albino. All right. Normal carrier. Normal carrier. I want you to say normal carrier. I don't want you to say normal. Because normal is normal. All albino genotype. All right. So there are some persons who are not getting it. I will, in the next show, I'll work these out. In the next show, I'll work this out. Okay, Powell. In the next show, I'll work them out at the start, and I'll look at those things that I said that I'm going to look at the start. I am really grateful to have you this evening. I know that there are some persons still working. I'll give you another 8 minutes to have that all wrapped up as I wait for you. There is somebody who spoke to me. Just tell me if this person is here. Just let me tell you the name of the person. Oh my. Just a second. I want to know if this person is here. This is a private biologic candidate. All right, let me just ask this way. We're pretty much at the end of the class. All right. Do we have a private? Do we have a private? Sorry, can you send me 2021 HSB paper, please? I'll address that. Amoy. Do we have a private biology student in the room? All right. If we do, any private biology student? Do we have any biology student in the room? Any at all? Yes. Do we have any private biology student or any biology student in the room? Oh, Nicola, you get the Mr. Wilson. That's Mr. Wilson. That's welcome, Nicole. And make sure that you return and carry all your friends with you, all your classmates. We really want to have you. All right. Gab, I did post here. I did post my email in the chat. I will just get that down and get rid of it. All right, cool. All right, I have it. All right, beautiful. My email is, I think, it's pinned at the top of the page. Okay, cool. I wanted to go through the paper tree, the alternative paper, just to go through some of the questions, but I'm not seeing anybody here from that class, from that group. So thank you very much. I've not seen anybody from that group, so we're going to leave that for another time. So I'm going to be seeing you on Wednesday. Cool. And on Wednesday, we are going to be looking at inheritance of sex. Sex-linked inheritance. And I did send a link there with a video that I would have done on sex-linked inheritance. And remember that you could just go to the back end of my channel. All that you need to do is to click that blue icon that says CSEC Biology TCP. And when you get on over there, just select a playlist or select the video that you want. And if there's a video that you want us to do, you could just send it in the comments that we could add it to the list of things we have to do. Remember that we are making videos. We are working on the lower school series. And that is sort of taking a lot of time, but we still try to make sure that we are putting out enough content for you. What we're sure is that we put out at least three videos every week. We have 3 lives every week for you guys. So you can't say that you are left out because you alone get 3, while the others we try to work on videos and sometimes it take a little time. We're working on probably about 3 or 4 videos right now. We are working on the plan and design video that we want to release tonight. And that is why I should have left you earlier. But we had to get this done. I didn't really want to leave it in the middle. I wanted to ensure that you got everything right before we left. All right, no number, sir. All right, thank you very much. No number. What's number? I'm not too sure what's that mean. White. Okay. Okay, sure, yeah. Am I? Am I? I tell you, we're working. Am I? I'm going to be honest with you. I am working. I think I started 4 paper 2 past papers. 4. And then one of the problem with me and the paper 2 is that I don't have a real editor that I can edit the PDF. And when I convert it over to Word, sometimes it's giving me problem, and I find sort of easier stuff. So even the past paper that I'm going to be doing for 03, for 032, I'm going to be using PDF and PowerPoint to do the video. And then I'm having other problems with my computer where my software is not recording video and audio at the same time. So it's sort of slow up the production, sort of really slow up the production, but we're trying. But remember that you have 6 past paper out there for HSB, 6. We send 6 past paper. We send from 2015, 16, 17. And we missed out one of the year and we come right up to 2020, right? So remember you have those and you should be, doing your best at that. Remember also you have the experiment, the biology experiment that you need to know for the exam. We have not done the culture. I think I'm going to do an animation for the culture because it tend to be on the paper a lot. No, it was on the 2021 paper. Water treatment, we might have to do an animation for that. So I have to be looking at those and trying to see what best we should put out and can put out. for the couple of days that we have. All right. Earlier for your no. Oh, for my number. Oh no no no! I don't do numbers. It's against the YouTube policy. Papers are there for biology as well. Yes, there are several papers there for biology. But what you can do, I just place my email address there, or you can go click the blue icon that says CSEC Biology TCP. Go to the back end of the channel, click on About, scroll down to the bottom of that page. You'll see something that says business email address. Click on that thing, then you'll see the email address. Copy that email address and you can send us message via Gmail. So we take messages from everyone via Gmail. Not that we can respond to everyone at the same time, but we try our best. But we really don't do phone calls and all of that. You'd have to be here for long for us to do that. Long, you know. And more so, I don't know if you're a minor or an adult. That is another thing. We try not to do that type of thing, you know, because we really don't know who we're talking to. You know me, I don't know anybody here. All right, other than Louis, who was here earlier. I really don't know anybody else in the room. All right, so that's going to be it for this evening. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining. Please be reminded to carry your friends, your family, your foe next time around. We're going to be here at 5:05 on Wednesday. And remember, we stream on a Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 5:05 p.m. and we're streaming from Kingston, Jamaica. You can check out our channel. We have over 100, pretty close to 200 videos there with some 45 live session that covers topic from biology and this HSB syllabus for CXC. So I'm sure that you can find something there that can, of course, fit your need. If you have children from grade 5 or class 5 up to grade 9, you could check out our new series, Biology Kids, where we're teaching biology at that level. Pretty much they would do it as integrated science or science at that level. But what we've done, we have pretty much pull apart the syllabus. We're teaching biology because we have realized that we're having what is called information dumping. So we're trying to have the kids log onto the channel from that stage and they can grow and keep the content rather than dumping the content. So you want to have your siblings, your kids, your friends, that type of thing. Join the channel, subscribe to the channel, and of course get locked into Biology Kids as you study away for your exams, which come up in a couple of weeks. Good evening and enjoy the rest of the evening.